Hi, welcome to VYAPT Growth Series, Season 2, Episode 33. I'm Pankaj Pandey, your host, and our guest today is Vivek Srivastava, Group CEO at Waaree Group. Today, focus of our discussion would be renewable energy, primarily solar energy with focus both on manufacturing as well as power generation. Now, we all know that VYAPT Growth Series is a digital platform which shares narrative of various sectors of business through business leaders. Vivek is known for his transformational leadership and growth mindset. Let's learn more from him. Welcome to VYAPT Growth Series, Vivek.
Thank you, Pankaj. It is indeed a pleasure and privilege to have people come on and join on a Monday morning at 11:15 a.m. I have never done that. So it's a rare privilege.
Now, it's always a privilege to learn from leaders like you about an industry which is going to do a lot of work in the future, which is doing a lot of work even today to ensure that our future is secure across the world. Uh, my first question, which we call it as curiosity, is going to begin, and that beginning is going to come around the growth aspects of it. And the focus is more on the growth and sustainability, as we have seen, being done by various industry as well as the global leaders, global country leaders. So, can you talk around the sustainability and the growth prospect of renewable energy, primarily solar sector, and how it is going to fare in the future?
Okay. Thank you. Very contemporary point that you raised. I always begin with saying that what is simple is easy to understand. So the simplest of the things have been written in our Vedas, and while we today call it sustainability, carbon neutral, etc., the oldest books, Rig Veda and Atharved, in the Prithvi Sukta, there is a very simple sentence which says Mata Bhumi Putro Aham Prithviya. What it means is simple. We are children, we are the children of Mother Earth. And that explains everything. So, this industry that we are talking about is essentially about sustainability. But what is more important is India. Let me talk about India. India needs energy. Energy is the basic prime driver of growth worldwide. That's how the Industrial Revolution led few parts of the continent to move ahead. And India is at the cusp of that growth, which is explosive. But more importantly, it needs energy. But what kind of energy? It needs affordable, something that is for the masses. When I say affordable for the masses as well as manufacturing, it needs it to be sustainable. And beyond that, what India has set a target, it won't impact Mother Earth. So while our carbon intensity or while our contribution is the number three in the world, the per capita contribution is at the bottom. And what is important is while our power requirements are going up, energy requirements are going up, we will even in 2050 be at the bottom in terms of per capita. That is what gives me a lot of heart. Now, this industry, as you mentioned, solar is one part of it. We can call it new energy. Energy is energy. But what we are doing now is deriving energy in a manner which is responsible, sustainable, and as I said, affordable. So the growth prospects around this industry are massive. So today, India, the way it is transitioning, we all know our pledge to have 50% of our energy coming through renewable. By the way, it goes back to an average Indian, the per capita consumption is just one third of global average of energy. And what is even more important, one tenth of the developed countries. So that's the kind of requirement we have. Now, what is even more important is that when we talk about energy, how do we actually get energy at every place? It could be at industry, it could be at our home in a very responsible manner. While renewable, as it is known, has various forms, we know that solar, wind, now we are talking about storage, etc. So the potential, the enormity of this is humongous. That's what I can say.
Now, you talked about the growth of the industry and the kind of sustainability. We all know that the green energy, what we call the solar energy as green energy. Can you also talk about some of the innovations coming in? Because I think in the last 1.5 decade, there have been a lot of innovation happening in this particular domain. How do you see the innovations happening, and what kind of opportunities, both direct and indirect employment, is this sector going to probably come up with, not only limiting to the pattern in India but across the globe?
So when I look at innovation, innovation is in all streams. This is, let us understand the reason for innovation. Anything that changes requires a lot of time. If
Hmm.
it took more than 150 years for the world to move away from coal to gasoline or diesel, as we call it, to power mobility, we can imagine the speed of transition. Now, what is happening is the entire renewable energy domain is dependent upon very, very, if I can say, uh, heavy metals, a lot of rare earth metals, etc. So, the first innovation I think will come in terms of materials, applied materials, as we call it. A lot of things that we are doing currently, and if you look at the growth rate for the world, the way the world has to adopt renewable energy, green energy, it won't be feasible. The quantum of metal that would be required, the rare earth metal, the amount of energy that will go into mining. So one is the entire material domain. Second is in terms of, if I call it generation. So when we say generation, there will be lots of, we are already looking at solar now. Everybody knows Mono, PERC, HJT, Top One. These are just names, but essentially it will be the Moore's law that every by a fixed amount of time, the energy efficiency of generation will keep going up. Then we talk about cost. As I said, cost has been falling, and that's what is making it affordable. But there needs to be even more quantum jump. Like green hydrogen today at $5 to $6 a kg has to come down to maybe dollar, dollar and a half when it becomes much more viable for the hard to abate sectors. That is the second part. The third part is in terms of deploy, in terms of generation after generation, it is storage and transmission. Now, renewable energy is typically most of it, whether it is wind, solar, is seasonal, is also time of day. Now, the requirements are quite opposite. Most of the requirement happens when the generation is not happening. So there is a science behind storage, a whole science behind storage, be it mechanical, electromechanical, chemical, whatever. There is a huge science behind that. Then comes transmission. So today, transmission grids are going to be an issue. So smart grids is going to be a big innovation in itself. Then comes the innovation in the services sector. We are talking about ESG. How are we going to do a lot of things that are linked to traceability? So whether it is blockchain, and then comes financing, a lot of innovation will happen in the finance and business model. So I think this industry is ripe enough to say that it will be innovation will drive leadership and the next generation of deployment.
So you mean to say solar energy is going to be central for all the businesses happening across the world?
Yes, because ultimately, whether it is green hydrogen or anything, if you look at our country also, we know the issues around wind. Yes, wind is a very potent force, but landmass requirements, etc. So India is blessed with more than 300 days of radiation per year. Most parts of the country has, and solar is something that is, two things are very helpful in solar. One is both in concentrated and distributed. So what is going to happen is energy requirement even in remote areas at the home level. Now the entire game of energy management is going to land up right at your premises. Till now it was done at the kind of a substation level. Now you will see every home, which is the trend happening in the world. Not only they are generating from their rooftops or factories generating from their rooftops, they are getting into storage and more importantly into energy management. At what time, which energy to be used. So I think solar is by nature, sun god is omnipresent. So that's, I think, the best part of it. And solar is easy to handle, easy to install, easy to use, and easy, and also a 27 to 30 year life cycle. What better than that?
That's wonderful to hear from you, Vivek. You have been a transformational leader, and this particular industry is transforming to a level. And you talked about some of the transformations happening. What are some of the transformations within this particular industry? We'll come to your leadership a little later. But what are some of the transformations can we expect to see in another 2 to 3 years' time? This is for the curiosity of our viewers who are actually seeing us. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk closer to the ground in India. What is happening and what we will see definitely. So one of the things in India you are going to see increasingly is, previously we were talking about availability of 24/7 power, not only for people living in urban areas, but for people living even in far off areas. Now that will require a lot of microgrids and innovations and transformational models coming around it. what will also happen is that we are now looking at quality of power. People have become very conscious about that. So that's another change that you are seeing, be it industries, be it gone are the days when people would be happy saying that, okay, two shifts we can run on continuous power, and the third shift is okay to run on DG set. So that's the first fundamental change that we are going to see. And around that, the whole concept of distributed generation, storage, quality, etc., will happen. The second thing that you will see is about the deployment. India, as we say, is a country of micro entrepreneurs. Now imagine today India has only 5%, what in terms of rooftops has done only 5%. Even if you were to reach 80%, just look at the humongous amount of work that is going to happen on that in terms of just simple quality installation, generation, and management of that. The third thing is we are looking at currently the entire concept is of it requires a huge amount of finance. So by conservative estimates, it's about $36 billion that is required by India in the next 2 years. You'll see a lot of things that are happening in that domain where companies are adopting themselves. They're taking out money for that capex. The entire amount of lending which is becoming through green bonds, etc., that's going to happen. So I think these are the kind of transformation. Closer home also, when you are driving, mobility will change. It's not just scooters and cars, but also heavy vehicles, which are going to now slowly and slowly move to hydrogen, etc. So yes, a lot of changes are in the offing. I could just touch the tip of the iceberg.
So future is very exciting for all of us, as you just mentioned, with the solar energy helping us to actually live our dreams the way we want.
Yes.
We move on to our next curiosity, and carrying 10 questions, which we call it part of our rapid fire round. After some of the fabulous things we talked about in the solar industry, so 10 questions has to be answered in a word or a maximum of a sentence. Are you ready?
Oh, sure.
So here we go. Okay, so I start with my first one. What is that one thing you love the most? You're not able to hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you, Pankaj.
Okay. What is that one thing you love the most? One thing, anything. It could be person, place, or thing.
I love meditation.
Okay. So meditation is that which you love the most. So if you could travel back in time, what period would you like to go?
A very difficult thing. I'm increasingly scared about what happens when people travel back in time and can't come back. But yes, if I were to travel back in time, I would like to relive the moments of when India won the World Cup in 1983.
Okay. So you are a cricket enthusiast.
Yes.
Okay. So what is that one thing which you'd like to take to a deserted island? I mean, nobody's there except you and that one thing. What is that one thing?
I wish not, but prayers and wishes are most important. But on the practical side, assuming that they are there, I would need a lot of books and flares. I think that's the first thing I would like to do to get out of there.
Your favorite comfort food?
Dark chocolates and homemade namkeens. So my refrigerator is always stacked and also finishing for dark chocolates.
Okay. What advice would you like to give to your younger self, your younger self?
Don't be too hard on yourself. Not everything is urgent and critical. And I think the one outcome of that is not only to myself, but to also all contemporaries and the younger generation. We are becoming a sleep deprived nation. Sleep is very critical. Don't sacrifice sleep. The cusp of emotional, spiritual, and physical health goes together. It's a triangle. And I think that's one thing I regret, not taking care of the health on account of sacrificing sleep. So that's something I would definitely change.
Okay. Uh, what is that last thing you watched on TV?
Uh, OTT, yes, Blacklist and the Blacklist. And On live TV, the
Not the OTT. I'm asking what is the last thing you watched on TV, not the OTT one.
okay, then it is the English Premier League, the football
Okay.
matches, the
Okay.
soccer matches, I would say.
So your favorite all-time leader,
Uh, I don't have because I believe in situational leadership. So if I evolve over the time, I know it's not an exact answer, but that you may be looking out for. But if I look at times gone by, leaders like people who transformed generations and who gave to humanity things like maybe Europe, Spartacus, and India, Gautam Buddha, Ashok, and others. Uh, in the recent times, if I look at it, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, people who transformed, and not to mention the contribution of people like Madam Curie, Mrs. Gandhi, Angela Merkel, Margaret Thatcher, they really inspire. And coming to contemporary times, difficult to name because it becomes a kind of an issue where people start debating. But the people who gave us Aadhaar, the people who have given us corporate leadership, the people who are making India proud, stand up, be it corporate leaders, be it business leaders, political leaders, who are making now India stand up and be heard across the world. Not only that, being emulated.
wonderful. Can you also talk about your favorite hobby? One favorite hobby,
My favorite hobby is are both of them. I would put equal weightage on them. Is Formula One racing and meditation.
which is better for you?
Since I can't drive a Formula One car, I would be happy with meditation then.
Nice one. Luck or hard work? What would you choose?
Choice is something that is in our hands, but reality is one hard luck with loads of luck.
Okay. Now, one. This is the last one. What is the best compliment you ever got?
Oh, it came to me from my mentor who introduced me to the doyen of the corporate India. In one word, he said, uh, in English, there is a term called Jack of all trades, master of none. But in Farsi, there is a word which says, Jack of all trades, master of many, har fun mola. I think at that moment, I was at 40,000 feet level after hearing that.
Okay. So that's really a very nice compliment which you've got. So 10 on 10 to you. You have answered some fantastic questions, more from one word and maximum of a sentence. A fourth curiosity, Vivek, and this curiosity is about you as a leader. You talked about you being a situational leader, but at the same time, you are also a transformational leader. Uh, if you go back to your journey, we have seen many things which you have done till today. You have wore many hats in in your leadership journey. Can you talk around what are certain lessons which you might have learned from your mentors, from your teachers, colleagues, back at home or otherwise, which has actually shaped which you have today? And what is that you owe to those people? Yeah.
In reality, I owe everything to people with whom I have worked, with whom I have observed and learned, and especially to those who had the, I would say, courage, because it requires a lot of courage to immediately say, or not immediately to observe and say, you could do this in a different way. So I owe a lot to them. So from my journey, I would say that as a situational leader, one has to be really nimble and agile. The way our business is evolving. So number one, don't be afraid to make mistakes, be bold. And that's what in the previous companies I have worked and including now, the kind of growth of 3x 5x does not come unless you are bold. To be able to create that vision for your team and to make them believe, which is sheer communication and the passion you have, the belief you have, is something that a leader does very well. Number one. Number two, when you are strategizing, collaborate. Collaboration doesn't come easily to us, and when you collaborate, you have to accept that you are a result, that you are uh, you are somebody who is willing to take, who is willing to understand, and not just keep arguing or keep mentally reconciling, is it right or wrong. It's not about right or wrong at that moment. After having done everything, that is to strategize and found out a path, then it is about relentless execution. Then the execution has to be relentless. And I think India is seeing that in many ways. I have learned it from my mentors and leaders how to be, how execution plays the most critical role, followed by, more importantly, how do you get people along? Empathy is all good, everything. It has to be demonstrated. Everybody has unique set of strengths and areas of improvement. Rather than just focus on areas of improvement and elaborate more on the areas of strength, horses for courses. What can a person do best? A leader should be able to identify and actually nurture people around what people can do best, engage with them, and do the best. And I think last but not the least, there is a way, as I said, we have to give back to Mother Nature. Similarly, we have been very lucky. I have been very lucky in getting the kind of counsel, the kind of company of great leaders. I also, and we all owe it to the people around us. So I think when we say give back to the society, there's nothing better than the knowledge part of it, which is the best daan that you do, but also share. It may not be somebody who is working in your company, it could be any professional. Just sit down with them, spend time with them. One is to go and teach at management institutes, share, but the other is to talk about how you can shape your career so that your passion and career can go together. So I think those are some of the things that I have picked up the traits from people, and I would definitely want to continue to give it back to the uh, professional society and to the society in general.
So about your transformational leadership and as well as situational thing, and you owe everything to people whom you have learned. That's so down to earth and humble statement coming from you. Thank you so much, Vivek, for this
Before
interaction. Yeah, please.
when I was talking about the opportunities, the mic just went a little bit. I think people who are on the call would definitely, who are on this webinar, would definitely like to know if
Yeah,
one were
please.
to look at opportunities in India, the opportunities in terms of both all three, white collar, blue collar, and also entrepreneurs. Today, I can give a very simple example. If people just log on to www.waaree.com, we are
Mm-hmm.
inviting people as partners to install solar across the country, across
Mm-hmm.
various cities at their home place. What better than being at your home place and being able to do what is your passion as to give back to your earth, a very prestigious thing in the society to do, and that I'm working in sustainable energy. And you can be doing a lot of work with the local industries, local people, in completely transforming the landscape of how energy and environment is there. And the second
Mm-hmm.
is, even if you don't want to become a full entrepreneur, even if you have a simple electrical shop and all that, you can become a partner in dealing with these materials and with the kind of, we have created also a gig economy whereby people who are electricians, people who install cameras, who have access to our homes, factories, and all that, can come
Mm-hmm.
on a portal called Waaree Expert, enroll, and then
Mm-hmm.
start earning. We have seen people who are earning 20 to 25,000, double, triple their earning. So I just
Mm-hmm.
thought that it's important that people, if they are keen on that, they can pick up these opportunities.
That's really great that you have shared this on this particular platform, and I'm sure people watching this who want to become entrepreneur or who want to serve in any way, and increase their income would definitely be interested and would like to take this opportunity forward with Waaree Group, partnering with Waaree Group. Um, Thank you so much for this opportunity with all of us. Thanks to Waaree Group as well for sharing this kind of an entrepreneurship opportunity with the youth as well as people of the masses. Uh, it's been great to have you on our show, and it's been a privilege for us to host you as well as to know about what kind of things the industry have with us. Thank you for making our future bright, Vivek, and thank you for the great amount of leadership which you carry, transforming this industry and taking us to the next level.
Thank you. Greetings to everyone for the festivals that are coming: Good Friday, Ramadan Kareem, Mahavir Jayanti, and so many of them. Thank you, everyone. Stay blessed.
Thank you so much, Vivek.